We know from hundreds of studies that looking out the window at nature and walking or spending time in nature have multiple positive impacts on humans, including our stress levels, our cognitive ability, our immune function, and even our happiness. But civic ecology stewards don't just spend time in nature. They do something different. They actually care for nature. So then the question becomes, what are the impacts of active stewardship of nature on human health and well-being? I actually don't know of any experimental studies that specifically compare spending time in nature and stewarding nature. But there is a study that was conducted by two scientists, one from Harvard and one from Yale, in the 1970s, that I think shed some light on this issue. So these scientists conducted a study of elderly home residents. And these were people who couldn't live on their own, so they were in these elderly homes. And they tended to be despondent, they weren't engaged, they seemed to lack a purpose for life. So what these researchers did is that they assigned these elderly home residents to two different treatment groups. Now both groups were given plants, but one group was instructed that don't worry about caring for your plants, the staff will take care of it. And the second group was told that you're responsible for taking care of your plants. Nobody else is going to take care of them for you. What these researchers found is that the group that actually cared for the plants showed improvements in their alertness, and they also showed increased involvement in activities like attending movies and socializing with staff and friends. And on top of being more involved or less despondent, the group that cared for the plants actually lived longer. They beat the mortality odds. So the average death rate at this elderly residence for over a period of 18 months was 25%. So a quarter of the residents would die over any 18-month period. But those residents that had responsibility for caring for the plants, of those particular residents, only 15% succumbed or died during this period, whereas those in the group where somebody else cared for the plants, 30% died. So when you think about this study of the elderly residents, it might be that the result has nothing to do with the fact that they were caring for plants or nature. It might be due to something like that the residents felt they had more mastery or control over their lives or a purpose in life. But if you add these feelings of mastery, control, or even empowerment and purpose from stewardship or caring for plants, with the physiological impacts of being in nature, like reduced stress, enhanced immune system function, and even happiness, we really have a very powerful argument for how stewardship can have a positive impact not just on nature, but also on our own health and well-being.